Welcome to the Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. This week's show, we are going to recap Fight to Win 155, headlined by Rafael Lovato Jr. versus Manuel Ribimar. Versus Gabriel Almeida and William Tackett versus Manuel Hibamar. We are also going to recap Quintet Fight Night 6, the ladies event. We are going to preview Fight to Win 167 with some dope-ass matchups on it. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, and the co-host,
Josh.
How you doing, Josh?
Good.
We are doing it not remote. Josh got the vaccine. I got the vaccine. Josh has had the vaccine for a while, so less editing for me. I'm very happy.
No ghosts.
We have returned back to the audio that I'm happy dealing with. Josh, we got a bunch of news lined up this week. Where do you want to start? We have a ton of matchup announcements, not brackets, but a ton of full card announcements coming up for April. Where do you want to start?
Third Coast?
Let's do Third Coast first. So Third Coast has announced all of their men for the 8-man Grand Prix for the kind of open weight, heavyweight GP. On that event, we got Manuel Ribimar, we got Canon Duarte, we got Nick Rodriguez, we got Tex Johnson, we got Mason Fowler, William Tackett, Victor Hugo, and recently promoted as of today to black belt, Pedro Mourinho. We're talking about Pedro a little later in the preview section for Fight to Win 167 happening next week. That is a hell of a lineup for a men's heavyweight Nogi GP.
I wonder if they're setting it up the way they have them listed.
I don't know. On the poster. I don't know yet. If you've seen the poster, Hibamar, Duarte are on the top right or top left. Rodriguez and Tex Johnson are on the bottom right. Hibamar and Mourinho and Hugo are on the top left, top right, and Fowler and Tackett are on the bottom right. Which, honestly, the way that bracket's laid out, I wouldn't really have a huge problem with that. There's some crazy matchups possible. Literally, you can match up any of those guys at any stage of that bracket, and I'm like, that's a good bracket. That's one of those, any direction that goes, that could be good. Yeah, super. Any kind of thoughts on that, Josh? Who do you want to see in the first round? Do you want to see this in the first round?
You can leave that this way. I'm interested in seeing all of those matches. That'll be very interesting in general.
Also, we have Jay Rodriguez, Nicky Rod's younger brother, making his debut against Moses Hernandez. There's also a bunch of other announcements that have matched up for the card. There's some Houston wrestlers that are on the card with some beef. Rematch is on that. It's a fun card.
I'm looking at Jay Rodriguez's ear in this picture, and it's haggard.
Yeah, it is a wrestler ear, to say the least. So, yeah, super excited for that bracket. We're going to preview that. Actually, that's coming up on the 3rd of April. So we're going to preview that in
couple of weeks.
A week or two, yeah. So that's exciting. Also happening on April 3rd, we've talked about this a little bit, but it's really starting to knock on the door, is EUG. Up Your Game. Is it Up Your Game? Evolve Your Game. Promotions has a men's featherweight tournament. Jonathan Alves is in that. Shane Jamijo Taylor. Isaac Doderlin's in that. We have Gianni Grippo. We have Mateus Gabriel. We have Marcelo Andre. I'm looking at tiny little thumbnails of faces trying to come up with names. All guys we know. It's a dope bracket. I'm super excited to preview that. That one's on Flow. Third Coast Grappling is on Fight. It is their first pay-per-view that they're running as part of their Fight TV promotion, which is a 2-year deal. After leaving Flow, what else we got coming up soon? Oh, yeah, Emerald City Invitational is coming up, I think, April 10th. That is actually at Philly. They've announced that that's at the 4300 Arena in Philadelphia. A dope 170-pound bracket for that. Where do you want to start with that, Josh? Want to go through the names on that one?
Yeah, go for it.
We got, I picked up the wrong one. We have a bunch of super fights that have announced that I'm super excited for. A bunch of local guys that we've talked about before. Andrew Tackett's on that. We also have the one in the 170-pound bracket. I think we talked about it a little last week. We have, and I can't find any of the names right now as I try to fill time and space. Josh, you got names?
No.
We got Nick. we got Nick Ronan. In that, we have Aaron Harris. In that, we have Kim Terra. We got John Combs. We got PJ Barch. I think you said Jonathan Gracie. Yeah, Jonathan Gracie
so. Yeah,
is in
it's
that.
It's not on a specific website to where it's laid out easy to read.
We're doing the old school Grappling Rewind, scroll through Instagram to get all the names right on the news section. We got Ethan Kraunston in that. I cannot wait to see how that is lined up and matched up. We may actually be able to do some on-site coverage for that one.
Possibly.
Not me, because I'll be at my cousin's wedding that day.
And you'll be a cripple.
Well, no, I'll have surgery. Oh, yeah, that's
Right,
another
a
news. So,
cripple.
yeah, that's a dope event coming up as well. We got some great stuff coming down the pipe in the following weeks. If you are not subscribed to the Grappling Rewind, you should do that so that, you can hear our coverage and our previews and our recaps of all those events. Like the show on all the platforms, and if you like the show, please share it with the folks at your gym and other social media. That is the best help you can give us to grow the show and help make it better, reach a larger audience. We very much appreciate that. That is kind of in the bumper of the show usually, but I want to put it in the beginning of the show because it's super, super important and helps us out a ton. Lets us do more things when we have a larger listener base. So thanks a lot for that. What else we got for news, Josh?
Again, you're getting surgery.
I'm getting surgery
Maine's
now.
fixing his back. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more in the outro section. If you followed the show for any length of time, you know that I've had like a spine issue that now has surgery. So exactly 1 month from now, snippy, clippy, I think is the technical term. Again, we'll talk about more in the outro section
That
of the
totally
show.
sounds like you're getting a vasectomy.
It kind of does. No, they're going to chip us. They're going to cut a section out of my spine. Again, we'll talk about it later in the outro section. What else? Other news do we have? Pedro Marino got black. We talked about that in his matchup for 167. That's super exciting. I kind of just want to move into the recaps, Josh, unless you have any other news.
Nah.
All right, let's do it. So, on to the recap of Fight to Win 166. I think this is headlined by Lovato versus Gabriel Almeida.
Yes.
Some other great matchups on the card. Where do you want to start with this one,
Let's
Josh?
start at the top with Lovato versus Almeida.
I was really happy when this matchup was announced because Lovato has been getting fed to like the top. Not fed. That's a terrible way to say that.
He's been fed because apparently he's a scrub.
He's not a scrub at all.
Jesus.
Lovato is a murderer.
I like it's super appropriate that every time he is announced on Fight to Win, Seth announces him as the legend, and it's like
he has his own walkout, and I absolutely love it. If you've never seen Lovato on Fight to Win, get Flow. Watch Lovato's walkout because it gives me chills every time. It is this custom piece of imagery that they have that's synced up to music that has like Lovato highlights and his Bellator flex.
Well,
when
that
he
was
won his
that was
title.
I believe like a highlight that Flo did, and then they just used it.
But it's awesome, and it's a highlight that gives me chills every time I see him walk out. And he always walks out at a similar time in the music, and you're like, "Oh shit, that's the guy from the highlight." It's a really cool moment. I wish they were to do it more because it's every time Lovato walks out for Flo, and for Fight to Win. It feels like it's really something special. This is a matchup I was super happy about because Lovato's been getting some really, really tough matchups in Fight to Win that have been not let him showcase what I love about Lovato's game. Gabriel Almeida was someone who I think matched up very, very well with Lovato, and you got to see a little more of Lovato kind of open up his game there and play more on the offensive.
I'm just going to trample all over what Maine said and say what we saw in this match is the same thing we see with most Lovato matches, is he's either going to be really tough and get on top of you, or he's going to pull guard and work from guard to sweep. Mm-hmm. And that's what he did after he got flying armbarred in the first,
twice
10 seconds.
Well, he didn't get flying armbar. I love that.
Well, he got flying. The attempt was there. Yeah. He was there. He almost had the arm. When he got locked in, when Almeida got locked in, like Lovato's elbow was clear.
Well, what I loved about that, I love Lovato had the wherewithal.
Dropped him on his fucking head.
I was surprised
his
didn't
elbow
slam.
was so clear, and what was even better was like the commentary staff was like, oh, it was smart that he didn't slam because he could have put himself deeper into it. It's like there is no way he would have readjusted so well. He could have literally just like shucked him down and not spiked him on the top of his head, but dropped him on his head.
One thing
I wondered, I'm going to interrupt you again, if they changed the gi rules for Fight to Win, since IBJJF has slightly adjusted their rules.
For reaping?
Yes.
Ooh, that is a Seth Daniels question.
Because I know Seth said like you can still do the outside reap as long as it's not like pushing the knee.
Fight to Win rules for reaps have always been really reasonable, I thought. They've been kind of in line with IBJJF, but they've always Seth they've allowed more it's a reasonable position to put the leg in. You're not going to hurt someone in that position, but it's.
I mean, you can still not allow the heel hook, and you can just let the even a minor reap.
I think a major reap. I think again at the black belt level, especially at the professional level at Fight to Win.
Yeah.
Guys should know, and they do know how to deal with a reap in the gi.
That was the other news, even though it happened after
while ago.
last show was like the first heel hooks happened in the IBJJF.
I know. Flo had a cool article, and I was like, look at that. That's craziness.
And we had discussed like how much that's going to change the Nogi scene IBJJF wise.
There are a lot of guys that are about to get some titles in IBJJF
Yes.
if you allow for heel hooks. Guys that have a great game and can put you in a hole and then can start attacking. Because I'm curious to see how the advantages are going to work for heel hooks in the IBJJF. That's the one thing that I'm sort of most curious about for close sub attempts for IBJJF.
I feel if like you get a good clean bite on it. Sorry.
It's all good.
If you get a good clean bite on it, that they're just going to be like, yeah, that's an ad.
Yeah, no, I think I should too. But I'm very curious if we're going to see a lot more high ad
You're going
scoring
to have
matches.
the bad refs still
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to disqualify people.
Which is...
But non sequitur, let's jump back in.
So what I loved about this particular armbar, so Gabriel Almeida at the beginning of the match tries to flying armbar Lovato. Lovato moves his outside hand to the top of the pant grip and pushes it off of his shoulder, and he does it while also getting pressure up and like pushing his shoulders forward and down. It was like a combination move that I thought was very, very good, very like almost relaxed in how he adjusted his positioning there, and then immediately moves into trying to pass off of it. I think he doesn't slam because he'd have to he wouldn't be able to. Lovato's a control guy through and through.
True.
And I think Lovato was like, okay, I have the arm free. I don't have to slam. Let me put him down here and then immediately try to pass off it as opposed to slamming, and we will have to reset because I've lost contact from him. And that was kind of my thought as to why he didn't slam, because I was like looking at the same thing. You're like, okay, he's going to slam because Lovato knows the rules. We've seen Lovato slam guys before. But I think that's why he decided not to slam. He's like, okay, positionally I like where I'm at. I have good grip on the pant. The Toriando pass to kind of come around. So he didn't do that. And then he almost gets around Almeida's guard completely the first time. A lot of standing in the match, and then Lovato pulls. And Lovato goes for Josh, you may be able to tell me the exact sweep that he hits. It's essentially, I called it like, almost like a tech-up sweep, but it was sort of a combination of Almeida, like kind of just not falling back, but deciding he was going to go back and play from the bottom, and Lovato had an underhook grip on the lapel under Gabriel's leg.
Yeah,
and, like,
it's
stood
just
up
like
on it.
it's one of the things that Lovato's done for as far back as I remember is he'll pull that lapel through, and he's got the length on him to just like suck it back in and just come up. It might have again been like a combination of both, and you see it earlier in the night too with James Popolo, where I mean he's a student, so you're gonna see a lot of the same thing, but they did a lot of the same kind of off balancing and like bringing people on top to try to like sweep. And also you kind of saw it in the Cisneros match as well.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about that match at length.
That one was great too. But it was just really good. And then getting back later into it, he went for that second flying armbar, and it was defended. And as Almeida tried to get up, that's when Lovato went for a guillotine, arm and guillotine, which looked really tight.
Mm-hmm. And we know Lovato has a crazy squeeze on him.
Right. And then he used the lapel to keep his arm in tight. And like he would constantly start angling off, as Lovato does with omoplatas. If you bought it like years ago when jiu-jitsu apps were ridiculously expensive on iPhones, he has like a whole omoplata app. I'm pretty sure I can probably bring it up and re-download it on my phone because I paid for it. But he's known for that, doing a lot of his guard. And again, he used that and he trapped him and then rolled him and immediately came into side control before just attacking.
What I loved in that
Kimura grip
for the side control, I thought was really interesting was Lovato is an underhook guy. Like Lovato loves that underhook, and he gets the underhook while he doesn't actually start knee cut passing in that position. He gets his hips super low and flat in Almeida's guard in order to stop Almeida from being able to close his guard. Essentially, like he's flattening out like you would if you're going to like start a knee cut, but he's doing with his hips, and he's far enough over with the underhook so Almeida can't come out the outside to like sort of attack
Well,
up.
you also heard that instruction from
Sanji.
You heard that instruction from him during the James Popolo versus
Sacconi,
where he was like knee in the ribs, and I'm like, he's knee cutting. Why? And then I was like, oh, that keeps you low and it keeps the opponent from coming in. I was like, duh. That's why he's saying. So I'm thinking it was kind of that thing where he's trying to jam the knee into the ribs as he was knee cutting to stop the momentum. But then the finish was like super quick where he just stepped over and I was like, here comes a Kimura.
I thought the angle on the Kimura was crazy. I'm not sure if Gabriel was just like, not playing this game with Lovato, because
he stepped over the head and was just like, yoink.
There's a GIF, I think it's at ADCC, of Lovato just banging out a Kimura and standing up and going, and it's just like terrifying. I forget what event.
He's a monstrous human being.
But the angle on the Kimura finish here was really nifty because it didn't transverse the body very far at all. He
knew he was caught. His head was trapped, the whole shebang.
Yeah, and you got Lovato, the pressure master, on top of you. I've been watching.
He's sitting on top of you, and he's about to rotate your arm in a way it's not supposed to go, and he knew I'm stuck.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Lovato's passing recently and a lot of Romelo's passing recently because I like that. I'm trying to learn more of that heavy knee cut pressure passing game.
Says the 140-pound guy.
Says the small man with back surgery.
Have a spine.
I have a spine. It's just like it's gonna get a little snippy cutty on it, and we're gonna be back to training eventually in like 6 or 8 or 12 months, depending on.
It's already been however long.
It's been 2.5 years, but So yeah, I've been watching a lot of it recently. It was cool to see it in action, and that again, Lovato's just I don't want to say bread and butter because that sort of diminishes the quality of his game, but just reminds you a lot of Hodge. You're just like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. You're not gonna be able to flatten. Can't get up, and then I'm gonna cut through, and then I'm gonna submit you from the top.
Like, I don't want to say he's not S-class in the heavyweight division. There are other heavyweights that I don't think would have a problem with him, and even I wouldn't even say that because he's like 185 now, so that's a whole other thing.
Smaller.
But when he was heavier, like he just did the most basic shit, but it worked. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not demeaning against him. It was just I can boil down all of this jiu-jitsu to do the easiest things and make it work every single time and win a lot.
Yeah,
which is what you need to do, and you're not seeing him do crazy flashy shit. You're seeing him do the basics again.
But I do like clean. I do like how clean it looks when he does it though. Like there is not a whole once he passes, he passes with urgency, which I like, but he passes with consistency as well. And then his positional control is he's not a guy to just sit. Like we'll talk about this in the Cisneros and Pinheiro match later. They're not guys to just sit in a position and be satisfied with like, cool, I got to this position, I'm gonna tire you out or do this. I'm gonna actively continue to work and push the pace when I have down a position. And I appreciate that in guys' games like Lovato. And it's cool to see Lovato come out and showcase what he's really, really good at. Great match, a lot of fun. Lovato finishes with a step over Kimura that was super neat. Again, I'm a big fan of Lovato's game. I like watching him. Anything else, Josh, on that?
No.
All right, where's the next one? What do you want to do?
Tackett and Hibamar.
So Manuel Ribimar takes on William Tackett.
There was a lot of just like head fighting. Everybody was hitting each other in the back of the head, and they
as were both, you do at Nogi.
They were both like doing the shrug and reach across to peel the
shuck, right?
Yeah, you're shucking it off.
Shucking off. I was
explaining it.
All right, fine.
But
Josh.
just clearing off the collar tie, and eventually Tackett reaches over top of Hibamar's collar tie, but he was like, here we go. And I was like, oh, sick, scissor takedown. But it wasn't exactly. He just jumped to lace his legs through to completely tangle the legs.
I caught that too. It wasn't a traditional like sweep you off your feet scissor takedown. It looked, if you were to just see it once, you'd be like, oh, that's kind of a weird like incomplete scissor takedown. And then I watched it again. I was like, oh, that was intentional. Like his second leg was lower underneath the calf. It wasn't trying to
shot across. So it went. I'm doing stuff with my hands, and if you see this on YouTube, you'll see what's going on. The top leg went in between the two legs and then caught behind the far leg.
Yep.
And the bottom leg went above the closer leg and hooked into the far leg again, and then it just became a tangled mess. Mm-hmm. And what else was really cool is as they were rolling, and Hibamar was going to try to roll out of bounds.
Oh yeah, that was Hibamar. That was Hibamar's strategy. You could see
like,
in the initial
this.
one, he was like, And again, Hibamar's a world class competitor because he knows, like, look, if the rules aren't going to preclude me from doing this, like, it's part of the game, it's part of the rules. And so he was rolling out because what I loved about him is you saw he was defending the feet from coming over more, but he wasn't trying to pull his knee out. It was
just too tangled up. So if you watch it back again, you'll see that he tries to like kick away and do the runner's escape.
Yeah.
He can't. He's like glued in.
Sorry, he tries it, but after he tries it and he begins to
He tried it a couple of times. And what was even better was I think he thought that he was safe just because of where his leg was. But if you watch Tackett's arms and you look for the heel hook finish, he actually reaches across with what you would think was the wrong arm.
Yep.
And then like sinks it up and he turns it out. And I'm
does
like,
that Cummings style finish.
I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, I've seen this before. But the other thing is, it's the opposite way that I'm used to seeing it. What's going on? And I was like, oh, that's sick. And I rewound it like 15 times to watch the exact hand movements. So if you're into heel hooks, watch this back. It's literally only a minute and a half.
It's quick.
And you can see how he readjusts and he's using the different grips. And you see like the DDS guys do something similar as well. It was awesome. And what a huge win for Tackett.
Mm-hmm.
Huge win.
Tackett has a bunch of like high level. I mean, he has 2 footlock wins over Felipe Andrew as well. Like he has a big heel hook win over Hibamar. He has he beat someone else huge at Third Coast.
But
I forget who it was.
you're beating black belts
as
a legit like world champion, not just in like nogi, but gi.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu players. And you're a brown belt. How old is he?
I think he's 20. I think.
I wish.
Yeah, bro.
I wish I was like a high-level brown belt when I was 20.
I wish I was 20.
Yeah, me too.
I wish I started jiu-jitsu at 20.
I started right before I turned 21, but still, like, yeah, oh god,
it was an amazing finish. It was great. Like the adjustment that Tackett makes at the end was something special, and I love that Hibamar sees the adjustment and he sees where he is on the mat, and he tries to scoot off the stage to see if he can get the reset, and he just can't get far enough out. And Tackett knows he's going out, so Tackett, you see some urgency in the readjustment. Which again, one thing I like about Tackett's game is it always has that urgency in it. Gets the readjustment over, and then uses the wrong side hand first. I'm going to, in quotes there, wrong side hand first.
Right.
And turns it over. Really interesting finish. Again, a la a lot of older Eddie Cummings stuff, but he used very odd low hand placement because his leg control was so good, he could still finish the heel hook. It was cool. It's not something we see a whole lot. It's something that I definitely didn't watch enough of because, Josh, you had some pieces that I want to go back and kind of
I'm telling you, just learn. Go back and you can just break it down, play it at like 50% speed.
Oh, and then at the end, he did an interview. Tackett did an interview, not at the end of the thing, but a separate interview with Flo.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Where he talked about who he wants. He's like, he's number 2 now. He goes, who you want to face? He goes, well, I'm happy to face guys like in the higher weight class. He goes, I love a match with Craig, I love a match with Deniz. And then he's like, I'm happy to face the guys in my class as well. And he listed like the top 2 guys. I forget who is above that. I think Vagner and someone else. I'm like, I would. He said
if he's number 2, Wagner's the only guy that's above him.
Right. And I was like, I think he's 3. I don't know why I think he's 3. But I went like, as soon as he said Vagner, I was like, oh, that is for sure the match I want to see. Like Gordon Wagner going to go for the 3rd time. And the next match I want to see Wagner take is Tackett. I think that like that is a match I'm super excited about because the style matchup, because Tackett is a guy that we've seen against, again, world-class, high-level guys. He's doing consistently well. He looks good. He's had some matches where he's won. He has matches where he's lost. But I think Wagner is a specifically frustrating guy in like a way that...
In general.
In general. And I'm really curious to see how Tackett deals with that because I think Tackett is a somewhat cerebral fighter. And I'm curious to see like what he will do to make adjustments to not have Wagner frustrate him or if Wagner will be able to frustrate him. And again... that matchup as well as Wagner's ironclad heel hook defense and just general all in all like good everywhere, good wrestling, like world class. I want to see how that lines up with Tackett. That's a matchup I definitely want to see. I would love to see that on Who's Number One or a fight to win for a title, something like that. That is the match for me to make. Craig would be interesting. There's like any of the high-level guys is interesting for me for Tackett. I want to see the Vagner match because I think Vagner is going to challenge him in ways that I want to see Tackett challenged, especially leading into ADCC.
Yeah.
Because he's going to fight Vagner eventually. I would just much rather see it earlier because I'm curious. I want the information about how Tackett's game feeds into that. And then we're going to see him in the next couple of years. It's definitely a match we're going to see. I want to see it sooner rather than later. And then I want to see it again in 2 years.
Yeah.
So super excited about that match. Again, we're super hot on Tackett. Killing it as a brown belt. In the biggest ass quotes there you can make. A brown belt. Beating world-class black belt level guys. Hibamar is absolutely no slouch. We covered Hibamar a couple of weeks ago on the show.
Oh, that's the other thing too. Like, this is gonna. I don't care what it sounds like, but it might sound weird to some people. Yo, Hibamar's got a donkey on him. His fucking thighs and his ass.
He also has shorts that were like 5-6 inches above the knee.
Whatever. He's got thick ass thighs and a big ass, and I was like, God damn! Like
strong legs.
Woo! Got a booty on him.
Strong legs, Josh. So, again, anything else on that match?
No.
All right, so moving on to the next match, let's talk about Josh Cisneros taking on Lucas Pinheiro.
Do you want to do the Ciccone match first, since technically it was for a title?
Yeah, let's do it.
Technically.
It was a title. It was a title match. I mean, Sony was the champion defending the title against Popolo. Not Popolo.
It was Popolo.
Yeah, Popolo.
Yeah. This was a very, cerebral match, and you saw Ciccone in the beginning kind of look like he was exhausted.
That was a little weird, and he fought through some adversity at the beginning of the match.
He got hit with that foot sweep. Popolo did some amazing passing and was attacking a few things, but he hit. Popolo hit a great sweep when Ciccone tried to do he actually did it twice. The first time he screwed up. He tried to do that big leg swing over to slide through.
Yep.
Screwed it up royally. And Popolo took advantage of it and got on top. But then he did this other sweep where he just trapped the leg and just kind of gently rolled him over. And I was like, oh shit. It's the dummy sweep.
That's super high level.
It's like a dummy sweep or something like that. But you see Lovato do shit like that to people too. And you're like, oh. And Ciccone is literal world-class competitor. I'm pretty sure he's a world champion. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he is.
I think he's a Masters world champion.
No, I think he's just a world champion.
Is he adult champion?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, I could. I think Seth introduced him as so I wouldn't be surprised.
He's been competing
get confused
forever. I remember seeing him compete when I was starting.
This was a Masters title.
Yes, it was.
Fight to win, yeah. So this is that's the thing that I got to correct as we do the show more and more. We're 181 episodes in at this point. I got to remember that guys fighting for Masters titles in Fight to Win may have had adult black belt world titles because time is a thing.
Yes,
and
time is a thing.
That's the thing that always jacks me up. Whenever Seth introduces a Masters title, I always want to put the guy as a Masters or a black belt world champion when it's many times those guys are adult world champions that are just 35 now or 32 now or something like that.
Okay, apparently not a world champion.
I think he's a Masters world champion.
He's got third place at Worlds in 2009, took second in Pans, Brazilian national second. Yeah,
super high level guy.
He's a world pro champion, UAE JJ.
Okay, yeah, world pro champion. I put that on very similar par depending on the year as
his guard, his close guard is ridiculous.
But he fought through some adversity. Again, at the beginning of the match, he fought through some adversity. Popolo put him in
some real
danger.
Spots.
Where I was like, ooh, he might take the title from him.
But then he also almost loop choked the shit out of him.
That was tight.
And then at the end, when he was trying to clock choke him, when that flop pass kind of worked, and he took the back trying to clock choke him, I was like, oh shit. It was really close, and you saw Popolo at the end trying to the last second toe hold to balance out points. I think it was the right decision. It was a great little back and forth thing. I love seeing
good
both
fight
of them
night
compete. I haven't seen Ciccone compete in a little bit that I can recall off the top of my head. I know he has, probably within the last year. I think he won that title within the last year. But it was a really good match to watch. There's a lot of cool little details in the guard work from both of them. Popolo hit a great pass. Saccone hit a amazing like leg pin pass as well, getting closer towards the end. Go back and watch that. It won one of the fight of the nights for the black belt, deservedly so.
Yeah.
Go back and watch that. Now we can jump into Cisneros versus Pinheiro.
Very fun match. So on to Lucas Pinheiro taking on Josh Cisneros. I liked this because I love the fight to win does them inner weight matches. Like this is Cisneros is typically a featherweight and does light feather occasionally. Pinheiro is typically a rooster weight that does light feather. So there's some weight class crossover, but typically these guys, Pinheiro's a rooster weight, Cisneros is a featherweight or light featherweight.
Cisneros does not give a shit about
Don't bang
anybody.
the table, Josh.
Sorry.
We've been doing it remote for a year. We're used to that now.
You see, I gently tapped because I
You
knew because I was getting really excited.
200 episodes.
He started attacking immediately.
2 seconds in.
Immediately, he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna try to grab his arm and fuck him up." And I was like, "He doesn't care." He's like, he's about to take his back. He doesn't care. This guy is Pinheiro's a world champion.
Very, very good grappler.
He's a great grappler. Cisneros is like, okay, like if you've just only watched his black belt matches, you're like, well, he beat a Miao and he got a Pan Jiu-Jitsu championship. Dude is going to be scary. Scary. He's scary now.
Okay, what I love about it, like to summarize Cisneros the best, you got 3 matches you got to watch. You watch his TP choke at Fight to Win as a purple belt that put us onto him initially. You watch his match versus Miao, which is like hell of game planning, and you watch his Pan's finals match, which he was losing, then was up on points and continuing to attack for the sub. You watch those 3 matches. That is Josh Cisneros in a nutshell. Like, he can do it all.
My guy is ridiculous.
Yeah, so this is a match I want to talk about. Not talk about rules, but this is a match that put me onto, like, my thought process of rules. I'm like, a lot of the way, things that are like, it's like, what is your proclivity to attack and to want to win? And how do you want to win? Like, oh, those are the guys I want to watch. Cisneros is a guy that is going to try.
Cisneros is built for Fight to Win, where he's like, I'm going to attack, and I don't care if I lose position. And he almost got his back taken because of it.
Yeah, props to Pinheiro on that. In a scramble, there's a beautiful
also Pinheiro
back
just
take.
His wrestling is like really.
I was surprised
really
about that.
Good.
His gi wrestling too, like his use of the grips and the takedowns and the collar tie.
Did you see the collar in between the legs and he like let go and then swung right back in on that single? I was like, when did the Brazilians learn how to wrestle?
Yeah, like and legitimately very good and gi wrestling too, which I like because a lot of guys that we will see wrestle, especially at the lower weights, they kind of like hang on you on the grips.
Yeah.
What I saw that was really interesting in this match is both guys were willing to have grip fight, like almost like judo style grip fights, but from wrestling stances looking for wrestling moves. So they would have grips, they would hold, they would posture you down with the grips, they would get you to step, they would grab a far grip or a close grip to turn you in order to go for like a wrestling single, a double leg, a back take, like... it was amazing to watch, and there was some times in the match where it got a little slower, but both guys were active. You could see what both guys were doing. Like, it was, they weren't stalling. They were like, oh, I want this grip, but they also weren't doing the thing that I hate the most, which is I am only going to take this grip, and I'm going to fight you for 5 minutes to only take this. It was like, you saw where there was a circling of the hand, and eventually Pinheiro is just like, yeah, you can have that grip, okay, and then works for his own grip off of the grip that Cisneros is going to take.
To the out of bounds to try to throw Cisneros off the mat and throwing the referee off the mat.
And I appreciate that Pinheiro didn't let go of the grip he had, even when Cisneros was off the mat. And he saw like the ref saw that he had the grip. He's like, hey, I have this grip, just so everyone knows. Like Cisneros was off the mat and Pinheiro's still on the mat with the grip. And I was like, that's high level.
And you had to be paying attention to it, but also the announce team talked about it afterwards. Was Seth goes, ref, do your job. It's like, yes. He's like, he's close enough to be like, hey, don't let him fall off. Like, keep him in the middle. And they just, he turns around and he's like, whatever. Great match, great little details that you can pick up from. I love seeing these guys. It was a close one, in my eyes, it was closer than what the unanimous decision said.
I think this should, okay. I have my own thoughts about unanimous decisions. Like, you should never have a split decision, in theory.
Bro, you got people like Cecil Peoples, okay?
You got Cecil Peoples, and you got this weekend's UFC card, which was like a whole bunch of what the fuck. Leading off of last week's card was a whole lot of what the fuck. You're just like, all right, can we stop kneeing guys in the face when they're down? It's non sequitur, but technically, if your rules, if you have rules and you have a decision criteria, you have 3 judges, they should all be following and have the same criteria. Now, given that they're all posted in different places on the mat, you're going to see different things, I understand, so you're going to get potentially them seeing different things.
People are going to weigh certain things differently, though.
I agree.
That's the thing. Like, you shouldn't, but you've got not close submission. You've got weak submission attempts, which is a point. Strong submission attempts, which is 5 points. People are like, oh, takedowns. Like, all of these things.
Right.
Like, ring dominance.
Ring generalship, Josh. Use the word generalship because it sounds badass.
I like
dominance. In the rules, it's called ring generalship, which I think is like the most badass criteria for scoring ever.
But still, like, you have these things, and some people are going to be swayed in certain ways about things. So you can't.
Me seeing it as unanimous decision was.
I don't disagree with the decision.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure. I felt it was a unanimous decision.
Right.
But I'm not mad. I wouldn't have been mad if it went the other way either. No. It was an amazing match to watch.
Very, very good match. Fun. Didn't get a fight of the night, which I was a little kind of surprised about.
It's weird saying it was a little slower paced, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't 2 cats going at it that met out on the street, like where they're just a ball of anger. It was very methodical in how they went at each other in these bursts. And then they both knew, if I screw up more than I've screwed up, which was Pinheiro in the beginning almost getting his back taken, and almost getting caught in a submission, and then Cisneros almost getting his back taken off of that position. They were like, if I screw up, I'm fucked.
Yeah, because this guy is looking for the finish.
Dude, he was on his back. Like, I almost forgot about it, and I just remembered it. Cisneros was on his back and tried to bow and arrow him, choke him while he was standing. Completely forgot about that. Completely forgot about it until now.
Right at the beginning of the match.
Yeah, but he attacked the arm first.
Yes.
He did all of the things. Like, so much was going on. It was a great...
Yeah.
Put Cisneros on all of the cards. I will watch him compete against guys that are 10 pounds, that are 1,000 pounds. I don't give a shit. I'll watch him go against 2 people.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting.
Both guys are super exciting.
We're very hot on both of these guys.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. They bring a level of action and entertainment, coupled with the technical skill, and they showcase really, really good technique. I love when that combination. It's like watching a guy like Conan. Like, has the skill, puts it all together, but is also going to you're going to give me this position? I'll work off that. Like, not so set in his game that he's unwilling to deviate from it. And that's a lot of things that we see at the super high level is guys unwilling to deviate from their plan. And those matches sometimes tend to be slower.
Tend to suck.
And suck. The guys like this aren't going to give you that, which I appreciate greatly. So... very, very fun match. Very, very happy got to see it. Really a good weekend of the main card for Fight to Win. Killed it this weekend. Was super pleased with the matchups. You want to go through the rest of the...
Just run it through really quick. Yeah.
Let's run it through.
Nick Ronan defeated Justin Rennick by decision. Excuse me. Gladeson Cudis defeated Josh Sharpless by decision.
And that was Friday night for the black belt.
It's so easy to not have to wait for
when there's a lag on Skype.
Delay. Yes.
Yeah, it's weird. It's on the brown belt results now.
Christopher Wojcik defeated Micah Valdez by decision. Manuel Aguilar defeated Derek Allenbaugh via decision.
And that was Friday night for the brown belts.
And Zach Edwards defeated Christopher Wojcik by decision.
Christopher Wojcik doing it twice in a night. Props to him. I love seeing it.
Purple belts. Jacob Chapa defeated Jesse Tobar by decision.
That was Friday night for the purple belts.
James Cole defeated Freddie Marquez by decision. KT Clatterbuck defeated Joshua Woosley by decision. Joshua Richards defeated Alex Assad by inside heel hook.
And that was submission night for the purple belts.
Alfredo Benavidez defeated Danny Mulvihill by decision.
On to the blue belt results.
Josh Taylor defeated Sean O'Neill via heel hook. Dayton Biggs defeated Jeffrey Brownlow via armbar.
That was submission of the night for the blue belts.
I can't even talk. Michael Hale defeated Craig Wayne Tucker via decision. That was fight of the night.
That was fight of the night
Main's
for
on his
the
phone.
blue belts. I'm trying to find another match I want to talk about on a different card.
Yelling at me. Ashley Sanchez defeated Stephen Klein via rear naked choke. Michael McCrae defeated Lawrence Smith via heel hook. And Mike Mendoza defeated Kelly Iglesias.
So that does it for a Fight to Win 166. I'm trying to find another match. I'm trying to find what promotion it occurred under. If you've seen it, it was the Brutal Toehold in the finals of a smaller invitational. We don't typically cover it, but it was, what's his name? Placido Santos, the guy that's always on the John Danaher instructionals.
Oh, yeah.
He got his foot broken in half in like an Estima lock. Have you seen this, Josh?
No.
He got his foot broken in half in an Estima lock earlier yesterday. I'm trying to find the video so we can talk about it. I didn't realize that you hadn't seen it. I meant to talk about it in the news section, because we're probably not going to go through the results of that event, but the finals match footage is out, and he catches it, and it's brutal.
Look at the close-up.
Yeah, Josh, I saw the video, and I saw the break. It was like, ugh. So let me find more information about that. Hopefully I'll be able to put it into the end of the show. But that does it for a Fight to Win. Great card. Go back and watch, especially the black belt matches. There's a lot to learn there, and there was a lot of very, very interesting exchanges and stuff to take away from that, which is cool. Let's move on to our recap of Quintet Fight Night 6. This was the second all-women's event. I'm going to open it up with this. I am unfamiliar with a lot of the women on this event. They were mostly Japanese talent that we just don't get a chance to cover as much. So I'm probably going to assist in butchering many of these names and
I'm going to do most of the talking.
Awesome.
When it comes to the names. This was the first time that they've done 3 teams.
That was confusing as fuck.
That was confusing.
So
they did a round robin essentially. It was 2 teams, and then the loser went against the team that hadn't gone yet, and the winner of that went against the first team that won originally.
So what you got is you got a rematch between the first teams again in the finals, which is kind of the problem of what happens in this sort of round robin format.
Maybe it was just hard to get another team, and they were like, "We're going to do it this way."
Yeah, which again,
is fine.
The event was fun to watch. I have no issue.
Man.
Yeah, I have no issue with how the event played out. It was just they had a graphic on screen that made that I had to pause the graphic for a minute to figure out like what I was looking at.
Oh, because it was here and then it jumped down here and then there was one up there.
Because I knew what it was. It's like, okay, we're doing a round robin, but I was trying to follow
the way
the
they
graphic.
did it was kind of weird.
And I was like, okay, is it a Japanese way where I got to look at it from another direction? And I spun the screen, and it was a very funny graphic. What I'm more familiar with like that is what you do is you just list the teams multiple times in a standard bracket format, and then you put winner of X here. And just there's a less convoluted way to do it. It was a very funny way to present that. Again, I love that Quintet flashes the rules on the top of the screen, and I love that the commentary is very on top of what the rules are for the event. And if they are unclear, they will immediately get clarification and convey that to the viewers. There was 2 points in the event where there was a weird DQ and there was a weird submission, and the commentary went, and then immediately figured out and explained to the viewer what had happened.
There was something that went through that nobody even talked about, and I was like, they just said that wasn't allowed and they allowed it, so okay. But anyway, you had an opening match, which was Rayon Niwa defeating Shota Nagano via judge's decision. It was just like a lot of back and forth where they were sweeping and attacking each other.
So Quintet, if you're not familiar with what Quintet is, it is a team battle format. You have typically 4 teams, but this one was 3 teams of 5 grapplers of under a certain weight. I think it was 280 kilograms for this one. For the women's events, if it is more than a 7 kilogram difference, the match length goes from 8 minutes to 4 minutes if the smaller grappler elects it to be that. If the first member from your team defeats the first member from the other team via submission, your person stays on, and you basically are trying to eliminate the other team before all of your grapplers are eliminated. If there's a draw, both grapplers are eliminated, and they move to the next person. If it goes to decision at the end of it, When all grapplers are eliminated on both sides, if that happens at the same time, you factor in penalties.
Yeah.
Quintet, it's awesome. It's on Fight Pass. You should watch it. All right, Josh, keep going, because Quintet's a very weird format. It's more common now, but I always like to explain it every time we go through, like, what is Quintet?
Team Carpe Diem versus Team Fairtex was round 1 matchup. Surami, that was literally her name. Don't ask for another name. I don't know it. She defeated Kazuko Sakamoto via DQ. Sakamoto pulled guard, like jumped guard.
Jumped guard, not pulled guard.
Yes, jumped guard, and got DQ'd because there are rules of how you're supposed to pull guard, and she didn't do any of that. It has to be from the front headlock position. So if she would have had a guillotine attempt and then jumped, it would have been okay. If she would have had the arm in as well, that would have been okay.
You just can't do it from the.
You can't just do it from the clinch. Kind of silly, but whatever.
Quintet has a couple rules that are. They have a.
They don't allow heel hooks.
They don't allow heel hooks. They also don't allow for extended periods in the close guard. They also have.
They're letting that go a little bit.
They are letting go a little bit. There's a couple of matches that went a little long in that.
You have to have an active close
guard. And also, one thing I like about, I hate to like it, but Quintet, if you are not progressing any position or any submission, they will be stand you up and restart.
They were giving out some penalties.
There were 3 different arm triangles here that they were that could be finishable. And they were look, you're not progressing. You're not finishing it. You've had enough time. We're going to stand you up. So Quintet's very, very aggressive with stalling penalties. And I do appreciate it because it keeps matches going. It looks weird, and it's something that has definitely taken some getting used to for me, but I do appreciate that I don't have to watch someone not be able to finish a guillotine for 2.5 minutes when it's they're never going to finish this. They look, it's 15, 20 seconds, and they're you're not going to finish it. Restart. I'm not going to let you just hold here for the next 20 minutes. So I do appreciate that. Continuing on, Josh.
Surami defeated Ryoko Yoshida via armbar. That was about 2 minutes and 25 seconds in, and you're oh, are we going to have one person take out most of the team?
Because that happens occasionally. Sometimes it's you have a grappler that just goes
you have
on a
Ryan
run.
beating everybody.
You do.
Then you had team captain Carolina Kuwahara, who I'm assuming is partially Brazilian by looking at her name.
Yeah, that's not you don't put DE in a Japanese name.
Well, you don't name a Japanese person Carolina either.
Also that, Josh, yes. That's not what keyed me off, but yeah, you're not wrong about
defeated
that.
Surami via submission, armbar. She was just bigger than her, and she put that work in. She's also really good.
Yeah.
Watching her go, she was, for being, I think they said she weighed somewhere around 145 pounds. I think that's what it was. They gave the kilos, and I did the math. Somewhere around there. She was booking it. Mm-hmm. And then Carolina moved on to take on Mitomo Moriwaki, and that match ended in a draw. Nobody got a submission, so both competitors went off. Haruki Ishiguro defeated Juliana Laurentino via armbar in 15 seconds.
In the quickness, Josh.
Just was hey, I'm going to armbar you. And that
really
was that.
Really nice armbar technique. Just late, goes in the armbar, turns it, finishes on the back, and then just the extension was very nice. The knee pinch was great, and there's not a whole lot in a 15-second armbar, but technically very, very sound, very, very quick, which I like in Quintet. There's a real benefit to getting someone out of there quick because you're only going to get a 30-second break between your matches. So if you can get someone out there quick, you are fresh and rested for your next match versus if you have a full 8-minute time limit match.
Who recently did the team matches, the Vikings versus the UK?
Polaris squads.
Polaris. So Polaris has that cool timeout rule.
Mm-hmm. Where you can sub your grapplers in.
Yes, and I also think that kind of improved this rule set, but you still see great matches. Anyway, Canon Kashida defeated Haruki Ishiguro via rear naked choke. She caught this super late in the match from the side at first, and I'm is she gonna get this?
I was that.
And then she got it.
Been finishable. I was oh, that's actually super tight. Well, she got it twice. There was an initial hand position, and I was that's not finishable. Yeah. And then she adjusted in again, and I was okay, that's probably pretty fucking deep.
And the last match was Satomi Suga defeating Canon Kashida via Darce. She got that one with the quickness.
And what I liked about you saw this one, the refs were looking at it are we going to let this go? Are we going to not? And you could see the urgency and I got to kind of lock this up and hold and squeeze it. But and those are the things that I kind of, it's new to me from a rule set to like be wary of, because I'm used to just watching people be able to sit in subs for a long period of time. And where the positioning, again, I'm not really a Darce guy, so where the positioning of the Darce was, I was like, that kind of looks finishable, but she also didn't have the leg latched in. She was also from like almost like the north-south position. There was like, it was a body position that you see Darce's finished from, but not like the classic deep Darce finish. And I was wondering, I was like, are they going to let it keep going, or are they going to stop it? And they kind of were moving towards finishing it, and so she squeezed it up and got the finish. So that was cool.
So Carpe Diem advanced to the finals,
which was a little bit to be expected. I mean, Carpe Diem historically,
they lost to 10th Planet in the first one, right?
Was that they did? Yes, that is correct.
So.
Yep, that was the first women's event, and they lost to Team 10th Planet, which is mostly a U.S. based team aside from Karpanen. But I think Karpanen is even fights. Is she U.S. based now or no?
No idea.
Okay. Viola Karpanen is who we're talking about. ADCC competitor, very, very high-level women's black belt that we cover very frequently.
So then we went to obviously give Fairtex a break. We went to Kazushi Sakuraba's son, as they were calling him, Saku Jr., which is great because it's like, oh, we're just going to force him into this role as a human being versus Kazuhiro Suzuki.
Yeah, no fucking pressure. By the way, I have never seen Saku Jr.
I knew he had a kid.
I didn't
know he was like
adult,
22 years old.
I didn't know he was an adult. I figured that
he's almost out of college now.
I know. It was very, Josh, that's very funny. It's like very funny to force your son into like, hey,
just like your Saku Jr. now. Came out to the same song and everything.
Yep.
I was like, oh man. That ended in a draw. They both got a submission.
That was an iron. Oh, I now know what an iron match is. Thank God.
This is. Oh, you mean when we watch it and we're like, they just kept going?
Yes.
I don't call this an Iron Man match because I am a wrestling dork, and Iron Man matches to me are 60 minutes long.
Is that a thing?
If you watch pro wrestling, it is.
It's like a power hour match,
bro. Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart Iron Man match.
All right.
Are you kidding me? Most falls at the end of the match wins.
Do they do that nowadays?
I don't remember the last I honestly have removed myself from pro wrestling quite a bit because I think most of the product is trash.
Do you still watch New Japan?
Occasionally.
Okay.
I've just like pulled back a lot from watching professional wrestling. I just don't watch it as much.
So an Iron Man match is
you just keep going.
You keep going.
And you add up your submissions at the end.
Yeah, which we've watched Quintet for a couple of years now, and it's always Sakuraba
doing
one of these.
You going like, it's never me on the show when we're doing this, and Emil's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, how do you guys not know what's going on? It's easy. It's like 9 minutes long. Whoever has the most subs wins. Well, and it says there are no leg-based submissions prohibited. Saku Jr. won by leg lock. He like knee barred him.
Oh, no shit.
So
No. Suzuki did. Suzuki had the knee bar in this one. Saku had the arm bar.
Yes, that. But still, leg lock. Right?
Yeah, it was also confusing to me. But
they didn't care. They were like, we're just doing this. And then Sakuraba gave his son, and I'm assuming the entire collegiate judo team, these tiny, weird little medals.
That's what that was. I thought it was the guys that worked in the back of Quintet.
No. Those are like his classmates. It was really fucking awkward.
That was weird.
It was awkward.
And then Saku's a showman. Props to him.
Oh, God. Wait until we talk about what happened at the end. Anyway.
So moving back into the women's event
Round
for the Quintet,
2.
Team Fairtex, who we just saw defeated by Team Carpe Diem, now taking on Team Coro Block.
Yes. So it's like MMA fighters versus a kickboxing team? I don't know.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Fairtex, is a glove manufacturer. Very nice glove.
It's a Thai gym.
Well, it is now.
No, it was before.
It's been a Thai gym for a long time.
Yeah.
If you ever see a fighter with the last name Fairtex, they fight at a Fairtex gym. Thai fighters take the last name of their gym, which is always hilarious nowadays that they're not Thai names. They're like weird like manufacturer names.
Team like Booty Burner, and you're like, so
no,
you've just got
team like MMA Strong Style Academy.
You've got like Sitlop Booty Burner, and you're like, okay.
Oh, that's he fights out of a cardio gym. Like, good to know.
Yeah, he fights out of Booty Burner.
Yeah. So Team Fairtex is a glove manufacturer that does other stuff now, but they have a gym and they have a team. It's mostly kickboxing and Muay Thai.
Yes. So anyway, Match 1. Kazuko Sakamoto versus Yuki Ono ended in a draw. Giuliano Laurentino versus Emi Fujino ended in a draw. Carolina Kuwahara versus Norika Ryu ended in a draw. Ryoko Yoshida defeated Windy Tomomi via armbar.
So I was kind of worried 3 draws in a row. I was like, oh no, we're going to do this again. And then it picked up. The second half was hot fire.
Takeo Hashi defeated Ryoko Yoshida via hammerlock.
Very quickly, too.
3.5 minutes, but still.
1.5. Oh, it was. I thought
Three
it
and a
was
half.
1. Never mind.
3.5 minutes, but still was good.
was
And
a
then
fun
Takeo Hashi versus Canon Kashida ended in a draw.
With Team Faratex taking that.
Yes.
Again, these are very difficult for us to kind of recap because I'm not super familiar with all of
the women.
Yes.
It also ended in a judge's decision after each team had like an equal amount of submissions and they had an equal amount of penalties. So then the judges had to go, who was more exciting?
Basically. Which I honestly kind of like as a criteria. Like, hey, how much did you try to win?
Yeah.
Like, I do like, in grappling, if we're going to have, like, worlds, whatever, like, if you want to have a technical who's the best mastermind of jiu-jitsu tournament, like, that's great. If I want to watch it, like, Quintet is this event that's, I am totally good with them going, who had the most hot fire shit, raise the flag, and we're good to go. I also do like the Quintet changes the colors of their flag based on the rash guards of the teams that are fighting.
I didn't even notice that.
They have different color flags, like Saku Jr. and the other guy that he fought and like the other matches. It was based on the rash guard colors is the flag color. And I really appreciated that because it made it very clear who they were choosing. That's something I wish we would see from more promotions that use flags and raises. It was a little, like, Quintet does a bunch of little things as far as broadcast and viewership that I absolutely love, like having the full names on the broadcast, and then even in the corner, because Japanese loves to have a bunch of different stuff on the screen at the same time. They have what round of the match it is. They have the other names again repeated there. They have the colors. Like, they give you a lot so that you can take a snapshot and you can see the screen and immediately know what you're watching. Like a lot of times K1 and Muay Thai fights in Japan will have the actual face of the fighter at the bottom next to their name. It's little things like that it looks kind of funny. But as a guy that doesn't watch a ton of kickboxing, when I watched, I don't know who. Well, I watched El Dorado a couple days ago, which was the kickboxing with Tetsu Natsukaza was on it. There's a bunch of really other good kickboxers that I'm somewhat peripherally familiar with, and a lot of guys that their opponents I wasn't too familiar with. Having the little faces there, like they did some stuff for broadcast, like international broadcast.
People.
It's very, very helpful that I wish we would see more promotions do, and it's something Quintet I think does better than almost any other promotion. It's very easy to understand what is going on from an outside viewer, and even from someone that like me and us that watch a ton of this. Very, very helpful, and I wish that people would do more of that. Give me the full fucking name at least, and like give me a color on the bottom for what team they're on. It is so helpful as a viewer.
It does help. Mm-hmm. So now we, again, need space in between the rematch between Carpe Diem and Team Fairtex. So we have a special match between Tomoshige Sera and Daisuke Nakamura, which Sera won via decision. Mm-hmm. They were both going at each other the entire time.
Looked good.
Yeah.
I was super
Nakamura looked good, too.
Nakamura looked good.
Like,
a lot more defensive work, but Sera was...
he's in his 40s.
I think he's 39. I said he was 40 earlier. I think he's 39. He just had a win in, I think, 1FC.
He might have.
Might have been Road FC. I think it was 1FC.
know.
He just had a win. It's like he looks.
I've removed myself from a lot of like fighting.
Oh yeah,
watching it.
I'm getting ready for back surgery, so I'm trying to get back into everything that's not me doing things, and just like I'm getting back into UFC hard. I've been preparing for a while, like back into kickboxing, back into grappling, hard into grappling again.
I have a lot of stuff to watch because I'm going to be laying down a lot.
I'm going to be laying down and being sad a lot because I can't like run for 6 months. So we'll get into that later. But let's move into this, and then I want to ask you a question about you particularly about the round robin format. And some things, if you ever had a round, if you've competed in round robin, and then if you ever have had to fight the same guy twice in your event in the finals. So I'm just curious if you've ever had to deal with this. Because that's what we're going to deal with now, is we have Team Faratex once again taking on Team Carpe Diem in the finals, where Team Faratex has now had to fight twice. and Team Carpe Diem has only had to fight once, which I thought was very kind of interesting. You kind of like, I do appreciate that's not a way to even the playing field, but if you're gonna get your shot again at the team, you have to go again. And that was like, I did appreciate that because Team Carpe Diem had already beat that team once, they did have an advantage going in that I think they had earned having already beaten them once. And now they're less tired, they've had more time off. That was an interesting thing. I think some people would actually say that's a disadvantage because you have so much time between matches that you get cold. Some people like to have a nice break completely between to cool down and warm back up. Other folks don't like to have that. There's just something that I thought about in actually how this event is run that I thought was kind of a thing to bring up now.
So the championship match, Yuki Ichiyama, who was hilarious in the beginning, was like, I'm the chubby one, so I have to do a good job. And I was like, wow. That is kind of weird. She feels like, hey, I'm the heaviest one on the team, so I have to carry it because I'm the heaviest one.
Also, she only had 4 minutes to work because all of her opponents had more than a 7 kilogram difference here.
That's true.
So she had to do it quickly. Like, that's one thing I like about Quintet is if you are the smaller person, they give you the option. And certain times people be gangster and decide like, no, I want the full 8 minutes. And that means that tells me one thing, like, oh, you're trying to sub the big person.
Yeah. So Yuki Ichiyama defeated Canon Kashida via submission, ankle lock in 50 seconds. And then she defeated Juliana Laurentino via knee bar in 2:33.
I like the Quintet because there's no heel hooks. You see more knee bars.
Yeah, it's nice.
I do appreciate. I'm a huge fan. I love like the way that people set up the knee bars. I liked this particular knee bar because you watched her step through and then have to stomp down on her own, like the back of her thigh, not thigh, the back. She did the figure 4 knee bar.
Yes.
And she stomped down through it to get the pressure to extend and pull on it.
Yes.
It was super tight knee bar, but because the leg was a little lower, she really had to arch and put the pressure into it. It's not a knee bar you see finish a ton because the heel hooks are there, but I liked the adjustment. It was a very nice, like, finishing mechanic on the knee bar, and it's cool to see. I'm, again, a big knee bar fan.
Yuki Ichiyama and Kazuko Sakamoto then went to a draw. You had Mitomo Morikawa defeating Ryoko Yoshida via armbar at 128.
Another quick armbar, another like laid down armbar. I think that was actually kind of out of the back door armbar, belly down.
And then Morikawa took Kuwahara to a draw. She was obviously the smaller opponent and was just like, I'm going to just try to draw this out if I can't catch her.
You're the last person on the team.
And then she's gone. And Carpe Diem took the entire thing. Afterwards, before they got their medals, Sakuraba was quote unquote singing to them. And it was really awkward. And then he gave them their medals, which were really cool because they were pink. And I think they were heart-shaped. And I would totally want a heart-shaped pink
Never
medal.
change Sakuraba. You strange Japanese man. That's a legend.
Weird
and eccentric in like all of the ways that I do appreciate because you fought. There was a discussion on MMA today. A Reddit on MMA, like who has won more at different weight classes. And everyone's like, yeah, Sakuraba has a lot of wins at different weight classes that everyone kind of forgets about.
I think most of his fights were open weight fights.
Yeah. And it's talking about like Lovato Machida taking on BJ Penn. It was a very interesting thread, but as we were talking about Sakuraba, it was just a funny foray back into that as he comes up a lot whenever there's a multiple weight class discussion. Sakuraba's always in that list of like, look at all the guys he fought. He's a gangster. Yeah. So now that I love that he's moving back into grappling and kind of promoting the sport of grappling. And it's cool to see that Quintet has obviously been successful because they keep running them. Talent's great. The rule format is interesting. It is exciting to watch. If you have Fight Pass, you should definitely check it out. They are always fun events to watch, and even like we typically don't cover a lot of grapplers that we're not as familiar with. Like this is an event kind of with the people that are on it, we typically wouldn't cover, but we love the format so much and like what it is that it's great to cover it, even though we didn't go in depth on it. It is definitely worth your time as an interesting, fun event to watch. It's entertaining, even if you don't know who's on it, which is a very rare thing for grappling. So.
And to answer your question, yes, I've done round robin formats, and I hate it.
I love it. I fucking love it. It's my favorite thing.
Especially when it's just 2 people in the division.
Oh, no, that doesn't count.
Oh, it counts because then you have to go 3 matches.
Yeah, those are always
against
weird.
The same person.
I was
when you're doing it,
I was Matt's side. I was your corner for 2 of those matches at Black Belt. Yeah. And I was like, what am I going to say? You're like, these things. I was like, I can't give you any technical advice.
Yeah,
what
I was just
say?
like, just tell me the time.
Yeah.
And
I was like, hi, Josh, you got 3 minutes left.
I barely listen to my corner people anyway, so it's besides the point. Yeah, those matches suck. And when when you're doing those things and you're going against guys that are naturally big people, when you're just a lazy person and you don't want to be skinny because you have to work hard.
You don't want to run at 6 a.m. with the boys at the track.
I hate running.
I can't do it for 6 months after the surgery.
Well, cool.
So no, I was just curious because going against the same person, some formats will.
I've done round robins where it's multiple people in the division that you have to do that too.
I love those.
I still think they suck.
I also,
especially like if you end up like you blow out a couple of people and then like you have close matches, but then you have to go against the guys that you're like, why am I going against these guys again? Yeah.
So I like the round robin format when there's enough people in it. Like, have you ever? My question was, did you ever have a one with enough people that they tried to make you go against the guy that you already beat earlier?
Yes.
I hate that.
That's dumb. I'm like, look, I beat this guy. I shouldn't have to compete.
And I've had Rachel's had it happen because she's in women's divisions where it's like frequently that like you have to campaign and basically go like, look, no, I already beat her. I don't want to have to fight them. We already did this. I submitted them.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so U.S. Grappling would do that too, and like sub only.
Well, we've had it happen both ways. So they make her fight her again, or they don't. And
well, it depends on your record. So that's the thing.
Yes.
So normally, the loser of the match will go against the person that hasn't gone yet.
Yes.
But then you have like this weird cluster where you've got you beat one guy, then the guy you beat the other guy, and then the other guy the guy you beats you, so everybody's 1-1, so you have to do it again.
Yeah.
Screw that.
Never had that happen.
I watched Shimon do that 2 separate times.
Oh, Jesus. So I never had to do that because I learned. I was like, they're like, I think Greg was coaching, and he basically because Greg, like when I'm competing, my job is to go there and beat the guy. Everyone else knows that they're like, you need to tell me what I need to do. I'm just gonna go beat the guy. And so he was like, look, you have to beat this guy or you're going to fight the other guys again. I was like, cool, beat him quickly. And then I did because I had motivation to do that. And I was also a fucking blue belt and we were terrible. So it was super easy to beat people. It was before back broken. So enough of that.
Previews.
Quintet's great. Moving on to our preview of Fight to Win 1. Josh, I missed you. I missed this in the studio, talking, hanging out. It's great to see you.
My wife certainly didn't miss it.
Probably not. No.
She's like, oh, it's easy. You can just sit in our room and play on the computer, and then you're done. Not, you have to drive there. You have to do the thing. You're going to say it's going to take this long. Maine doesn't normally shut the fuck up for like 45 minutes.
Yep.
That also makes you talk for like 45 minutes.
Yep.
And it makes a 45-minute show take 3 hours.
Josh, remember the old days when the shows were 4.5 hours?
Oh, you mean when we would start recording at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday and frequently go until like 1 o'clock?
Yeah, 12:45 sometimes. Yeah. And then we were like, we got to change this format a little bit.
Yeah.
We're doing a rare Sunday show, actually, which is nice.
This helps out Maine, so he's not crying as much.
So yeah, having 45 minutes to edit the show on a Monday night before it goes out is tough. But I do it because I love it.
167.
Moving on to Fight to Win 167, headlined by Victor Hugo taking on Tim Spriggs in Nogi. Josh, what do you think about this matchup?
Victor Hugo.
I kind of want to go Victor Hugo too.
Spriggs has had issues with guys that are like big, that are bigger than him, and that can keep up with his strength. Mm-hmm. We've seen him run into like bigger people, and it just kind of like he gets stalled out though. That's the other thing.
Is the match at Fight to Win? It was a gi match. Wasn't a nogi match. It was the match with big, long, lanky Brazilian guy. BJJ Stars had a crazy match. I'm looking at his face.
He has braids now.
Yep.
And he was
Gutenberg Pereira.
Yes, him.
Oh man, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this.
He threw him off, and you know, us being backstage and watching it too, you hear Seth like he's about to lose because he's not doing enough right now, and if he plays it safe like this, he's not going to be the champion.
And we've seen Spriggs a couple of times. Like when Spriggs can impose his game on you, astonishingly hard.
Looks
look at
unstoppable.
Watch the match for Tim Spriggs versus Kyle Bain. Like, look at what, I think it was a subversive match. Like, just Tim Spriggs is on top, just casually controlling Bain and like nothing.
Right.
And then you look at matches where like Spriggs is taken a little bit out of his element, and he
just like
tends
slows
to
him down,
struggle a
and
little
he
bit.
tries to like explode in the last minute.
Yeah.
And it normally doesn't work as much as like you're like, oh, okay, he's moving, but it
because the other guy can play more defensively and doesn't
Yes.
have to engage.
Yes.
When guys engage with Spriggs and get beginning to play into Spriggs' game, Spriggs can run away with a match. I am very curious if he can do that to Victor Hugo, because Victor Hugo is a giant and historically a guy that will somewhat play into your game, but he's gonna
lost to Tackett recently though, right?
Hugo?
Was that Victor Hugo?
Let's check, because now Flow Grappling has magical records that you can look at.
0 loss. Yeah, he locked to
2020.
No, it was Felipe Andrew. I think it was.
He won
that
versus
lost
Felipe
to.
Andrew via
No.
decision.
I'm saying I think it was Felipe Andrew that
lost Tackett via toe hold or heel hook.
Okay,
one of those two. Yeah,
different person then. So only recently he's lost to
Eric Muniz on points and BJJ Stars 4, but it's Eric Muniz who is a monster. Other than that, last losses versus Cyborg 2019 Worlds in the ultra heavyweight, Nogi Worlds in the ultra heavyweight division, where he had beaten Cyborg by Niwa the match before, which is always for some reason the most poignant like day for Victor Hugo. Dude, it's amazing what Flo has now for the records. Like, you can look up matchup and you can click on a guy's record. It is so helpful for us for previews and recaps. I've been wanting it for years. They finally have it integrated. It's getting better and better. It is huge. If you have Flow, you can now go and essentially go back and watch a guy's career if that stuff's on Flow. And if it's not on Flow, you can see what events it's on. You can, again, we have all the services because of what we do.
Because we pay for it.
We do pay for it. I pay. I got the
like
I got the bill.
It's not like we get
I got
the
bill
for
from Fight Pass and for ESPN Plus in the same like 4-day period for some reason. And I was like, oh, that's like $300.
Oh yeah.
And
the yearly subscription.
And I got the website for the Grappling Rewind,
yeah.
and then the podcast came out. It was like a $500.
It's like, hey,
bill.
Guess what?
I was like, oh right, these yearly bills all came out in like a 3-week period, and I was like, oh well, do it because I love it.
That's so weird that they don't have Gabriel Souza's.
They're getting better about it. They're still adding more guys. I don't think Souza's ranked right now, which is why they have all the ranking guys. But I thought Souza was ranked.
That's what I was thinking it was when I was like, didn't he lose to him? But that was Mateus Gabriel that he lost to.
Yeah.
At the Pans.
So Victor Hugo versus Tim Spriggs. I'm very curious how this plays out. I kind of want to lean Victor Hugo in Nogi. That win over Cyborg.
Bet.
That win over Cyborg to me is just such a strong win in my head. Again, it's a year. It was the end of 2019. It's a full year plus, almost a year and a half since that match. But Cyborg had the best 2020 of anyone by far, and you're the last guy to really have a definitive sub victory over him. Like, that to me speaks to how fucking good Victor Hugo is. Spriggs somewhat has struggled with bigger, stronger guys. Hugo is that. I foresee this being kind of a tough match for Spriggs, although if Spriggs can get into his game, if he can throw Victor Hugo off, if he can start passing.
So Spriggs doesn't normally, like, Spriggs will blast W, but he normally ends up in your guard, which is not where you want to be with Hugo.
Hugo's a guy that was happy to pull close guard at ultra heavy and sweep you from the close guard ultra heavy and get on top. And in Nogi, it's interesting. I do definitely foresee this being in Hugo's favor. I see Hugo being able to control Spriggs here. Mm-hmm. I don't think that Spriggs will do the same thing he did versus the Gutenberg-Pereira match, which is try to stay on the outside of the open guard.
So long ago, though.
Yeah, it's like 2 years almost. I just don't think that's the same match we're going to see. So I do want to lean Hugo here, although it wouldn't surprise me to see Spriggs implement like a robust game plan to deal with that. We just typically don't see Spriggs modulate his game plan significantly opponent to opponent. Neither does Hugo. I just think the style matchup sort of here favors Hugo, especially in Nogi. Anything else to add on that one, Dres? So next one, we got Kennedy Masayal taking on Gabriel Souza in the gi. Super excited for this one.
See, it doesn't have like... That's the thing with Gabriel Souza. It doesn't have his win-loss record.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Does
it have the fights? Does it have the fights on it?
It has like all of the listings, but you have to go through it, and it's.
Souza looks good. Who is Souza? Did he recently fight Grippo? Was it? I think it was Grippo at Fight to Win 153.
He recently fought,
or 64. Sorry,
he recently fought Kennedy. at the Pans, and he lost.
Oh, that's what the match I'm thinking about is.
He lost via straight ankle lock.
I think
to him.
I think,
so it's a revenge match.
I think Kennedy takes this again. I just
Dude, he's looked so good.
He's looked so good in his match versus
Kashida, was it?
Yes.
Now I have to go back.
And the Akasio match, the Nogi match with Akasio, where he finished him via armbar. Again, and he's a bit bigger than Akasio, but he's the current champion at Fight to Win. Like, he's just looked fairly unstoppable. Like, he's been giving guys.
He had
problems.
all these wins at the Pans, and then he beat Junie, lost to Mateus Gabriel at Pans, but then like he's beat a whole bunch of other people. He beat Kashida at Fight to Win 151 at lightweight.
Yeah, I'm guessing this would be a 45 match. I think Souza and Kennedy are featherweights.
Yeah.
Again, I want to lean Kennedy here just because, again, you have a recent submission victory over the guy again.
Safe.
But Gabriel Souza is also a guy that we see making a lot of adjustments and can entangle guys in difficult ways and get to your back. Look at his run at AJP, the World Jiu-Jitsu Tour. He looks fantastic in that rule set. Fight to Win is sort of the closest rule set to that on the major stage, so would not surprise me, although, again, I will always pick the guy that has a recent submission victory over someone if it's the same format, like a gi or no-gi. Next match, we have Thiago Macedo versus Cole Franson, no-gi. This one is really interesting. I could see this going either way. Franson has looked very good in no-gi.
Macedo's also looked really good, like, leading up to this. So
yeah.
It's an interesting toss-up, honestly.
This is really a toss-up for me as well.
With Franson, though, like, their common opponent is Gabriel Souza, who Macedo beat and who Franson lost to.
Yeah. That wasn't too long ago either, was it?
That was in the 2019 Worlds, actually.
Oh, that was that long ago. 2020 was a weird year.
Yeah.
I want to lean Macedo here. Again, whenever you look at a common opponent, that's a very easy way to pick that. I also just think Macedo is going to have a little bit of a speed advantage on Franson. I think Franson's a great scrambler, and he can definitely get moving on you. I just think he's going to have a problem scrambling on Macedo here. I think that's his pathway to victory. I also think that's his pathway to defeat here, and that's always a hard double-edged sword to kind of ride.
But you also have to look back at Macedo is a big key player, and
this is Nogi.
Yes.
I missed that. I thought this was a gi matchup.
Yeah,
they would have met in gi. They did not meet in Nogi, I don't think.
Possibly. I'm just looking at all of these.
This is a much closer matchup though. If it's Nogi. Again, I
Nogi,
still want to lean.
It's close. I'm gonna lean Macedo, but it's closer because it's Nogi.
Mm-hmm. You want to see an exhibition of Franson's game, go watch his match versus Bill
Macedo,
Cooper.
Oh, yeah. But you also want to see Macedo's Nogi game, so it'll be really interesting.
Last match we have so far, which is a banger match, but I kind of almost wish we would have, it's a dope-ass match. Pedro Mourinho, black belt debut, taking on Jake Watson in the gi.
I think Mourinho's going to come out on him like a man on fire.
Hope. Now, Watson's a funny guy, though, because Watson
can this weird.
He can tie you up. Look at the Ronaldo Jr. match that he had. That I was like, Ronaldo should take this, and then Watson tied him up in the gi and brought him to a place that he had a problem making that speedy offense that he has. Pedro Mourinho plays a very similar game in the way that he's going to explode to stuff.
Bigger.
Mourinho's big and strong.
He's mean.
But Watson's a tall, long, strong guy as well. Everyone thinks Watson's like a 170 or Watson's a big ass dude. He's he's like 200. I always want to put him at welterweight. Totally not a welterweight.
Big.
He's a big guy. Mourinho is a guy that can make 85.
Yeah.
I think Watson can probably make 85 too, but he's very long. And in the gi, he has the high-level experience at black belt. Mourinho, again, obviously from Gracie Barra,
Northridge?
He's not Northridge. It's West Chase.
Oh, okay.
Gracie Barra, West Chase. Very, very good, but new. And how much black belt experience does he have in the gi and competition?
No gi. He's looked great in the gi at brown belt.
He's a murderer. He's a monster. Both of them.
Watson is a pretty seasoned black belt competitor.
He's been in black belt for about a year and a half, I think, somewhere around that.
I don't know, but he's pretty seasoned in it.
Yes.
That'll be an interesting match, and I think that one is more of a toss-up.
I think it's more of a toss-up because I think if Pedro gets on top, like Pedro can absolutely stub Watson. Watson can absolutely tie him up and slow him down and prevent. We've seen Pedro get stalled out by guys that can slow him down, and that him not be able to kind of out-dig himself from that hole. We've also seen him just be able to nail guys with that really heavy pressure, submission wrestling, chokes, and footlocks, and like come out on top. So again, very much a toss-up. In Nogi would be a strong leaner here for Pedro, but in gi, with how proficient, again, that Rolando match sits in my head so...
Ronaldo, you said it right.
Ronaldo. I messed it up and I said it right. Sits in my head...
You said it right and then you messed it up.
Did I?
You said Ronaldo and then went Rolando, and I was like...
Wait, what is it?
It's Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
But you said Ronaldo, then Rolando, or you're going to listen back while you're editing this and be like, ha, you're an idiot.
Well, whatever. That match is so perfect, so presciently in my head because I called it so wrong in my preview for it.
Yeah.
And just watching what Watson can do and the skill that he had with the lapel and slowing him down, I'm very curious to see if he can do that to Pedro, or if Pedro's just going to do what Pedro does when he is on fire and just blast through guys. So... very, stylistically super excited for that matchup, especially watching a guy's black belt debut in the gi. That is always something special to be able to kind of commentate on and watch. I really do enjoy that. It's some of the most fun matches a guy, finally moving into the black belt ranks competitively. So, that does it for our preview of Fight to Win 167 taking place on March 20th. Looking forward to it. Let's move into the outro section, Josh. What do you got going on this week? Anything fun? Anything good?
Paying bills. Getting to train.
Nice, you got that vaccine now. You're good to go,
dude. I'm so excited about that.
I missed you, Josh. It's fun. It's so good to do the show in live and in person. God, I love
again,
it.
It's good, and I've been keeping it super tight within my little group of who I see. Mm-hmm. So it's cool seeing people that I haven't seen in an extended period of time in person. Yeah, not having to talk through a piece of cloth. That's really cool.
It is.
But no, hopefully getting to more normalcy in the next few months, and hopefully all of these crazy people that are lifting all of these restrictions, hopefully we don't go through wave 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
The numbers look good for vaccination. Everything looks great. That's good to hear.
Doesn't mean anything. Remember, it's a hoax. It's filled with 5G and tracking chips.
Jesus, please don't. So that's great. I got my first vaccine yesterday. So that was great. That was a fun 5-hour drive round trip. I very much enjoyed that, but it was worth it. And I'm very, very happy to have that now. I'm going to move into the surgery discussion now. Unless you got something else more fun to talk about.
Maine's a cripple. They're going to fix his back.
Yep, having a back surgery in exactly 1 month from now. We've talked about, if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you know that
he has complained about his broken back for almost 2 years or 2 years.
More than 2 years, actually.
More than 2 years?
More than 2 years. It was November of 2018 is when it was when I couldn't touch my feet. When I couldn't touch my shins.
When he was doing this while he was like, I can't move. Yeah, it hurts to poop.
Yep. All that stuff, and it was problems, but it's gotten better. But we've got to a point where it's it's time for a bacchiotomy. So we're gonna do that. That is in 1 month from now. So it shouldn't really affect the show, but it might.
You might see Maine sitting in one of those donuts, when he's on his chair.
We're gonna make the show work regardless. I'll have a lot of time on my hands, and when I'm just laying down to do jiu-jitsu and stuff.
Can we jerry rig your backboard thing?
My backboard thing to do a show in the backboard?
What the hell is that thing called?
The inversion table, Josh?
Yes, the inversion table. Can we jerry rig it so you're just on the table and the mic?
Josh, if you lean away from the mic, no one can hear you.
I just want you on the inversion table, either partially laying down or fully laying down. Straight Dragon, a Bruce Lee story where they show in the movie where he's dictating all of these notes and everybody else is doing all the work. I just want that where you're just laid out and trying to podcast while laying down. You're staring up at the ceiling.
We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. The side effects and the prognosis is fairly good. 80% positive, low risk of infection, low risk of other bad
paralysis.
No risk of paralysis because
no risk of
paralysis. He said that, and I'm like, My spine
There's
is
always a risk.
The spine is where the knowledge is, so like I'm worried about that. Yeah, like it's relatively low risk as much as spine surgery can be. But finally it's gonna happen, so I'll probably be off and won't be able to train for probably like at least 6 months, which will be unfortunate. But if I can not be in pain for my wedding, that would be dope.
Maine's getting married 2 months after, less than 2 months after that.
7 weeks after the surgery.
Oh, here's if you didn't know about this, Maine somehow convinced his soon-to-be wife to allow me to officiate the wedding. Think about that for a second. You go, I've heard Josh talk. I heard how he talks to Maine. Why is he doing that to himself?
You wonder sometimes, Josh. You wonder.
I'm actually really charming in real life.
You are. You're fairly charming. I would say fairly.
Oh, man.
So that's all I got
I've
for
also
you.
been told I can't. We had a bet on the Grappling Rewind chat a while ago.
A year.
A little less than
11
a year
months ago.
About if tournaments would still be going on because of coronavirus, or if tournaments would be canceled, which they were, obviously. It was a slap bet between myself and contributor and background kind of guy, Simon. But Simon is awesome. So we have a slap bet, and I was specifically told when it was like, look, you have to behave. You can't slap Simon at the wedding. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what about after the wedding? After he was like, no, not anything to do with being at the wedding or around it or before somebody shows up. You can't do it. So I still haven't seen Simon in the time to where I can slap him, but you better believe that I'm going to smack him, and I'm going to smack him good.
Welcome to the Grappling Rewind. I got nothing else, Josh.
That's it. It's good to be back.
As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, joined with my co-host in person, finally,
Josh.
And we are the Grappling Rewind. We will see you on the mat whenever that is. Stay safe. Thanks for listening. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.